All right, so it's been a minute since I did a 10 minutes, and it's not that I haven't been busy, I've just been really kind of focused, and there haven't been a whole lot of the sorts of asides that I feel like makes a good random. So I finished my Spitfire saga. Hopefully you guys have seen some of that, all 20 and a half episodes of it on the old YouTubes. And then I did a little bit of a figure painting exercise with a sci-fi thing that was pretty cool. And now I'm back on another project. But before I get to that, here's a little bit of a tiny book review. This is super, super cool. I don't know what the deal is with me and Spitfires lately. I just was reflecting recently on the fact that my last 2 aircraft completions have been Spitfires. And Spitfires are way overrepresented in my completed projects files, but it is what it is. I love them, they're cool. And this is a super neat book that somebody mentioned on SMCG, and I had to run right out and buy it from Wing Leader. And I ordered it from them direct. They're in the UK. There's not any other outlet as far as I know. And it took a little bit of time to get it because, you know, COVID and all that stuff, I guess, but it arrived not too long ago, and it really is great. There are a bunch of photos in here that really do a lot to validate what I did on my Mark I project, because that's what this little book is all about. And the photos are great. There are some photos that we've all seen, but mostly it's photos that are new, at least to me. And particularly some good underside stuff. I mean, look at that. That is a really nice belly shot of the original 5054. And there's, you know, this book is made for model makers because it's got good color plates that are nice and large. It's got modeler's notes. So, you know, this is neat. These books, and I understand I say these because there are apparently a series of them, and I may have to look into getting some of the other ones, but this is great. It clearly produced by model makers for model makers, and you have to love that. And one thing that I really like about this is that it validates something that was becoming really clear to me when I was doing research for my Spitfire, and that is that Mark I's, yeah, they are all over the map. So you should exercise caution before you, make any bets on what was true about Mark I Spitfires, or decide that you are, going to win an argument on Facebook, because you know how that goes. There's stuff in this book that will cost you money if you go down that road. So yeah, it's cool. I love that. There's just a ton of neat stuff in here, really neat photos, and they're big and good resolution and good explanations. So good stuff. There's a tidbit for you I didn't know about. They had squadron codes that were pre-war that they changed to then during the war. So anyway, very, very cool book. Well worth the, I think, $25 that I paid for it. Okay, so something else that's come in the last month or so, Spitfires. Yeah, this thing. This got mentioned someplace, and of course I had to get one because not only do I love racing aircraft, but the, interwar Schneider trophy stuff is just really cool and beautiful. And the Supermarine S5 is, to me, one of the most gorgeous aircraft ever built. And of course, I'm never going to get this box open since I'm trying to do it on camera. I think this is a gorgeous aircraft, and yeah, of course, it is one of the precursors of the Spitfire. And Julian Hosmer was saying that he's got one of these and he wants to build it, so I was thinking that he and I might do a buddy build. Let's see if I can talk him into that. Could be fun. But what really struck me when I opened this, it was like, wait a minute, this is 1/48, right? I mean, it does clearly say right there on the box, but it is dinky. And I was like, are you sure? I mean, that can't be right. That's got to be a mistake, because this thing is like barely, I don't know, it's like 60% of the size of my Spitfire Mark I kit that I was working on at the time when this came in. So yeah, I was really shocked at how little it is. I mean, I don't know. I'm still not completely convinced, because look at it. Okay, this is Yoshi, my little bench mate. And yes, he is Japanese because he's from the Tamiya Zero kit. But he hangs out at my bench supervising. And look at how big he is compared to... I mean, you had to be 4 feet tall to fly this thing if it is in fact the correct size. So, I don't know. I'm a skeptic. I am not completely convinced. But regardless, I'm going to build it at some point, because I think it'll be pretty cool and a beautiful little thing. I've looked at some sprue shots online, and you know, getting it in hand and just having a brief look at it without taking it out of the bag confirms, you know, what those show. Yeah, I mean, look, this is a short run kit. I don't know who these... It's made in Ukraine. I don't know who AMP is. They don't make a lot of stuff, but they are clearly, you know, doing short run stuff. Probably low pressure injection molding. I mean, there's clearly some flash there that's going to have to be dealt with, but it is what it is when you get into such things. So that will be, I think, a fun and interesting thing when the time comes. Now, what I am working on that is a much larger scale is I've gotten back to my 1/6 scale Honda Monkey project. You can see lots of parts here. I'm moving closer and closer to getting the frame and swing arm finished. I got my seat textured. That was one big task. I don't know, I shouldn't say big. I mean, it's not really a big task. It just that for whatever reason, I just wasn't feeling settled about it. And then when I came back to the project, as is often the case, it just kind of came together the way I wanted it to. So that is basically just a bunch of Mr. Surfacer 500, you know, with a little bit of thinner in it that's, you know, stippled on there with a stiff brush. Kind of hard to see that texture, you know, in the light gray, but it is there, and I think it represents pretty well, you know, the vinyl or leather that seat cover would be. I also just spent about 6 hours over the last couple of days channeling my inner Peter Buckingham and turning this one part, which is the rear brake linkage. You can see that they've, you know, given it that overall chrome plating, which is not really right. You know, it's got mold line. It's, you know, it's kind of clunky. It hooks on to this part of the rear brake lever right here, and then goes back to the rear wheel. So I, like I said, got all scratch buildy and turned it into 8 parts of actual metal. That's Albion Alloys nickel silver rod, some aluminum rod that I got in a little variety pack off of Amazon. It's dead soft, so it's pretty easy to file and sand and do a little poor boy milling on, and created that clevis, threaded it on one side so that that bolt would screw in there. I got a little tap and die action. That's always fun. Threaded the ends of the link rod. Wrapped myself a spring using some 10,000 silver artist wire. And the hardware, by the way, is this 1mm stuff that I got from Scale Hardware. Those guys are great. They have so much dope stuff for a project like this. So that worked out really good. So, having fun with that. Now, here is something that I think is really good. There's only, I'm almost up to 10 minutes, but this, I'm going to do this. This is one of the reasons why I've been waiting to do this this random. Oh, by the way, before I forget, something I've been using a little bit lately. People have been talking about Rubberized CA. I know it's like, seems like every one of the model kit model, products companies has introduced some. The idea being that if it's rubberized, it takes a little longer to cure and it's a little less brittle when it does cure. So, that can be useful, obviously. So I found some on the good old Amazon, and this was like, I don't know how much it was. It wasn't expensive. Just like normal CA. And I've been using this a little bit, and I kind of like it. I feel like it's a little bit easier to sand. It does definitely take longer to cure, and that's an advantage. Although, don't get the idea that you're just going to have all day. I mean, it gives you like, 10 seconds instead of 2 seconds. So it's not, it's not a get out of jail free card with super glue, but it is good stuff. It makes me like super glue more than I normally do. Now, anyway, what's going on here? Okay, so this is a couple of decals that I have applied, of course, directly to the paint on this little mule thing, and that's just some MRP. You could say there's quite a bit of texture there, and that's molded in. This is some kind of old, I don't know what brand it is, even Matchbox or something. It's ancient stuff, and it's got a lot of molded texture. But of course, that doesn't matter when you apply the decal properly, which I did using some of Paul Bretland's Ultimate Modeling Products Extra Strong Decal Setting Solution. Now, the reason that I did this is because I want to do a test. And I thought, you know what, this is the perfect kind of thing to do during a 10 minutes of random, because I don't think it really can be justified. I don't think it justifies an entire video. But, come on, I do more decal experiments than I do actual application of decals. Anyway, so the deal is, people have been talking around about this technique where when you have a decal that's got clear film, a lot of it, like between the letters, as this does. And this is a Tamiya decal here from the aforementioned Spitfire kit, so it's a new Tamiya decal. This is a special hobby decal from the Tempest. So the trick is supposed to be that when you've got a decal like this, that you can use mineral spirits to scrub away the clear film. And I've been skeptical, but there are people saying that this works, and so I'm like, all right, well, maybe I should check it out. And I've done a couple of things recently that kind of lead me to believe that it might actually work. So I don't know. I thought, why not do this here on camera during one of these random videos and see if we can get any action. I may end up doing it and then like committing a 10 minutes of random sin and come back later, because I may be sitting here scrubbing for a while. And I can already see one problem. All right, so this is mineral spirits, regular old hardware store stuff. And in general, MRP is impervious, as most lacquers are, to mineral spirits. But if you scrub hard enough, as you can see here, you will start to affect that. So that is obviously a deal breaker for this technique, if that's going to be an issue. Now, other paints may not be as much affected, but look, you can see it is actually happening. Okay, it's kind of hard to tell here, but you can see that the film is coming up. It's kind of wadded up there on top of that 2 in the middle, but if you look at the right angle, you can see that it is in fact removing the film and leaving the black. which is pretty fascinating because I don't really know chemically why that should happen, but you know what? I mean, that's a pretty badass trick if you can make it work and deal with the obvious issue of, you know, messing with your paint. And it may just be a matter of, you know, not scrubbing quite so hard, or maybe putting some masking tape around the area so that you don't fuck with it. If you had a clear layer underneath it, yeah, I know. There's that old thing about putting a clear underneath your decal. That would help. That'd give you a barrier, obviously, and that would be, to me, a pretty valid reason for a pre-decal layer of clear. Now, you can see, though, all is not perfectly well because I scrubbed some of the decal itself right off of there in that area around this little round panel line thing. So clearly not a universal technique, but definitely one that might bear more testing and trying out, because this is certainly interesting. Okay, so I couldn't just quit without trying it on the other decal and reporting back. So interesting, but not totally unsurprising. The Tamiya clear film, way more difficult. You can see I kind of started to get it to come up there, but when I start scrubbing hard enough to get through it, I'm starting to affect the paint underneath. And I attacked it also thinking I would sort of prepare it with this Deerfoot stippler with some mineral spirits on it, and didn't really help a whole lot. But this other film, yeah, came off pretty easily. And it seems like that quite a few people who have reported doing this have been using Edouard decals. So I don't know where or who prints those, but there you go. Interesting. Bye.